All right, we are here with Adam Zucker. He's on College Football Today and SEC on CBS on Saturdays. Thanks for joining
It
us
all
today.
begins now here at Media Days, right?
So talk to me a little bit about Alabama and Auburn. Those are obviously the teams that we kind of focus on more. They both lost in the postseason to Big Ten teams, and I think a lot of people are concerned about the dominance of the SEC. What are your thoughts?
I thought that the postseason did not treat the SEC West well at all. I was really surprised in a lot of those cases. I think Auburn's defense at that point was pretty spent, but I think that right now on paper, I would have a lot of confidence if I were an Auburn fan or naturally an Alabama fan, but Alabama's going to have a new quarterback. Auburn is too, but we've seen Jeremy Johnson in games before. It's the way he looks, the fact that he has Duke Williams coming back, his roommate, the guy who has so much trust in him that he told Jeremy he was coming back before he told anybody else. Will Muschamp taking over the defense. I think right now on paper, with what we think we know, I would put Auburn on the top of the division. By the time they meet at the end of November, we'll see. But I think more than last year, the two Alabama teams are ahead of the rest of the division.
I think that on that note, Auburn, how so many people are picking them in preseason polls to go to the national championship. Do you think that's pretty accurate right now?
To be in the playoff, at least, I think it's pretty accurate because if they just get a sprinkle of defense versus last year, I mean, the numbers that Auburn had last year on defense were worse than any Will Muschamp coach team ever. And Muschamp's numbers at Florida with an awful offense were still amazing defensively. So I think you combine those two things, and I think Auburn's in for a treat. So Javon Robinson is another guy who's so hungry for playing time after having to go the junior college route. #1 junior college recruit. Duke Williams, #1 junior college recruit last year. I think there's just so much star power. Get everyone who was injured on the O-line and D-line back healthy. And I think Auburn is looking really good.
Now, Jeremy Johnson, he hasn't played in a full entire season yet, but there's so many people picking him in preseason polls already. A lot of hype around this guy. Have you ever seen something like this before?
Well, yeah, in the SEC, especially. Granted, Cam Newton is a guy who, for most, emerged out of nowhere. But if you see these guys in spring or you hear about them in advance, Jameis Winston was a huge phenomenon before he actually played in a game as well. So the Heisman Award itself has almost become the surprise award. So you could have a guy like Jeremy Johnson, or if Tennessee can keep the magic going, a guy like a Josh Dobbs, for example, could end up winning the Heisman if that's what you're alluding to.
All right, so now to Alabama. This is the second straight season that Coach Saban is going in without really knowing clear-cut who his quarterback is. I mean, how many times do you think he's going to get asked about this tomorrow? Do you think that's something that's kind of frustrating for him?
When Coach Saban shows up, it's an amazing phenomenon. This is your first SEC Media Day. Second? Okay, so it's my second also. And I thought, all right, when Auburn was here, that's what it would look like when Alabama was here, maybe to some extent. Not even close. Not even close. I just remember, and we're, just so everyone knows, we're just steps away from the men's room. And the security detail around Nick Saban just going in there was insane. I mean, Derek Mason and Jim McElwain were just having a conversation in there now, but when Coach Saban, in all due respect, when he goes in there and when he's in this building, it takes it up to another level. And he'll have his answers prepared, and let's see if Jacob Coker can now seize the moment and be the answer to the question that coach is going to get.
Yeah, and a lot of defensive guys are coming too for Alabama. Reggie Ragland, obviously a big standout guy last year. Do you think that Alabama will be kind of defined by defense this year then?
Well, I think with Lane Kiffin there, the offense has had a new spark, kind of like when Coach McElwain was the offensive coordinator. I think Nick Saban teams are always going to be defined by their defense, but their offense definitely had some spark last year when you had Amari Cooper and Blake Sims putting up record numbers. I'm excited as anything about Derrick Henry, and I think Alabama fans have seen more of a 1-2 punch with their running back situation over the years, going back to the title runs. But I'd love to see Derrick Henry get a ton more carries because I think he just wears people out. And you want to, after you wear people out, you want to hit them with some speed, sure. But I think just Derrick Henry's, I just go back to that bowl game, even though they lost it to Oklahoma 2 years ago. I think he's such a force. I'd love to see him do more.
All right, so he's your guy. Too bad he's not coming, right? But all right, and finally, Coach McElwain alluded to this just a little while ago, but he was talking about the SEC and how, no matter what stadium you go to, no matter what stadium you play at, it's just an amazing atmosphere, all the tradition. What is it about the SEC that's so amazing to you?
It's the priority that football has here, more than anywhere else. There are some cities represented in the SEC, but unlike pro sports where it's based around a city, and I live up in the New York area where our studio is, and I feel like so much of the conversation is built around fantasy football and things like that, whereas this is the school people went to, the state that they lived in, the only team in the state that they care about. People live and die, not just on Saturdays, but all week, all year, versus other locations, maybe where there's, I don't know, other priorities. But the best players are here. The best teams are here.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Adam, for joining us today. That's Adam Zucker. You can catch him again on College Football Today on Saturdays on the SEC on CBS.